Don't go in there, man. That place is cursed. Danny grinned, phone camera rolling. That's exactly why it'll go viral. It was midnight when Danny, his girlfriend Mia, and best friend Kyle stood outside the old St. Augustine Hospital, abandoned since a massive fire in 1996. Locals whispered of unexplained screams, flickering lights, and ghostly shadows, and that no one who entered ever came out the same. But for Danny, it was content gold. The camera flashed on as he whispered dramatically, "We're entering the infamous St. Augustine Hospital. Pray for us." They pushed open the rusted gates. They didn't notice the shadows watching from the windows. The lobby was drenched in dust and decay. Broken chairs, dangling four lines, and blood-stained walls gave the place a haunted breath of its own. Mia clung to Danny's arm. "I don't like this." Kyle laughed nervously. "Relax. It's just mold and bad memories." Suddenly, the lobby lights flickered. Power. In an abandoned hospital. The temperature dropped. A soft whisper echoed from down the hallway. "Help, me." The group froze. "Did you hear that?" Mia asked. "Nope. We keep moving," Danny said, masking his fear. They stepped deeper inside. They entered a hallway labeled Pediatric Ward. Cribs stood crooked. Toys were scattered across the floor. A mobile above one crib spun slowly, though the air was still. Mia reached for a doll. Suddenly, it screamed. It actually screamed. Mia dropped it, stumbling back. The doll's eyes opened, black and hollow. Its mouth still wide, emitting a static screech that rattled the walls. Danny's camera glitched violently. Then, silence. The doll lay still, lifeless once more. "We're not supposed to be here," Kyle whispered. Drawn by a cold draft, they walked into the old surgical wing. Metal tables stood like corpses. Rusted tools were laid out, recently. "What the hell?" Danny muttered. "This place hasn't been used in decades." A loud clatter made them spin. An overhead light flickered on, revealing a surgeon, dressed in bloody scrubs, face hidden behind a cracked surgical mask. The figure tilted its head slowly. The lights snapped off. Screams. When the lights came back on, the surgeon was gone. But Kyle had 3 deep slashes across his back. They ran through the corridor, breathing heavy. A rusted stretcher blocked their way. Danny stepped to the side. The stretcher rolled on its own, crashing into the wall. Mia screamed. Blood smeared across the floor in the shape of handprints. Leading toward the morgue. "Guys, something is following us," Kyle panted, looking pale and drenched in sweat. "I feel it behind me." They reached the morgue. The door creaked open by itself. Inside, rows of body drawers lined the walls. One drawer slowly slid open. Empty. Then the next. Another. Suddenly, bang, the last drawer slammed open and a corpse sat up. Its eyes were stitched shut. Its mouth slowly opened. "Join us." They backed away, but the morgue door slammed shut. Lights flickered. Then darkness. Screams. Scratching. Whispering all around them. When light returned, the corpse was gone. But Kyle was now lying on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from the ears. They dragged Kyle to the nurse's station. He stirred, and opened his eyes. But something was wrong. His pupils were entirely black. His voice had changed. "They know you're here." They remember you. Then he collapsed again. Mia sobbed. Danny, please, we have to get out of here. But Danny was shaking. We're trapped. Every hallway, it's like it leads back to the same place. Mia pointed to the map on the wall. It was changing. Hallways bending, rooms shifting. The hospital was alive. Desperate for answers, they found a file room. Dusty records, patient charts, and a large blackboard. On it, names of the deceased. Hundreds. But at the bottom, 3 new names appeared, written in chalk. Danny Myers. Mia Sullivan. Kyle Henderson. They stared in horror. Suddenly, chalk rose on its own and wrote. Room 616. They found the door. It was sealed shut with chains. Kyle, still semi-conscious, began to chant in another voice. The chains rattled and fell. Inside, the room was circular, with occult symbols burned into the floor. Candles lit themselves as they entered. In the center, an old woman in a nurse's uniform. Her skin sagged. Her eyes were white. You should not be here, she hissed. They never left. They never will. She raised her hand and the walls pulsed like veins. Danny screamed, clutching his head. Memories that weren't his flooded in. Screaming patients set on fire. Surgeons performing rituals, not surgeries. Spirits trapped in rooms with no exits. The hospital wasn't abandoned. It was feeding. Kyle sat up, laughing. But it wasn't his laugh. He turned to Mia. You should have stayed out, little girl. Danny raised the camera, now useless. Kyle floated, yes, floated, off the ground. Eyes glowing red. Mia screamed. Danny grabbed her and ran, dodging flying equipment. Behind them, Kyle burst into flames, but did not burn. Instead, his body began melting into the floor, becoming part of the hospital. Danny and Mia found an exit sign. They ran. Through the double doors. Down the stairwell. Burst out the front entrance. Only to find themselves back in the surgical wing. Over and over they tried. Each time, a different horrifying version of the hospital appeared. In one, the walls bled. In another, babies screamed endlessly. In one, they were already dead. Mia fell to her knees. We're never getting out. But Danny looked at his broken camera, and noticed something. One frame. One clue. A mirror. In one shot, he saw a mirror door behind the morgue. Not in real life. But the camera caught it. They sprinted to the morgue. Behind a broken fridge, there it was. A mirror with no reflection. Just blackness. They hesitated. Then, stepped through. A scream pierced the silence. They were now in a shadow version of the hospital. Everything was reversed. Twisted. Wrong. In this version, they were the ghosts. And surrounding them, hundreds of shadowy figures, staring. All past victims. Danny realized, there was only one way out. You have to trap someone else, whispered a voice. Replace yourself. He turned to Mia. She looked at him. Realized what he was thinking. No. No, Danny, don't. He kissed her. Then shoved her back through the mirror. Mia tumbled out the mirror, and woke up outside the hospital gates. It was morning. She looked back. The hospital was gone. Just empty land. as if it never existed. But she felt it, inside her. She turned on Danny's camera. The last frame showed him, standing in the mirror world, smiling eerily. Behind him, the ghostly surgeon, the stitched corpse, the nurse, and Kyle. Danny's voice played. They never left. And now. I never will. A year later. A new YouTuber walks up to the same land. This is where the old St. Augustine Hospital used to stand. They say it vanished. But I think there's more to the story. He smiles at the camera. Behind him, in the reflection of his lens, Danny stands. Watching. Smiling.